What's up, everyone? Thank you for listening to another episode of the Sawyer Brothers Show. Please be sure to follow and subscribe to the show on Apple Podcasts and Spotify, and then follow our podcast accounts and SDI accounts on all socials. We post daily on Instagram, TikTok, Facebook, and YouTube. We appreciate the support and listens greatly. Episode 31. This is the second episode we recorded when we were in Charlotte visiting Ty and Kenny a few weeks ago. So it's another Fellas Pod episode. Majority of this episode is us playing a game called How Much Would You Bet On It, where we're given different NHL scenarios and we have to decide how much we'd be willing to bet on that specific scenario happening. And then after that, we take a look at Ty and Kenny's experiences with hockey. They didn't grow up playing hockey, so they have some unique perspectives on their experiences as fans of the game and then also as friends of guys that grew up playing and have always been around it their whole life. So thank you for listening to another episode. Here we go.
I'll bet you $20 I can get you gambling before the end of the game. No way.
I think so. Do you want to bet against this?
You show me a pay stub for $72,000, I quit my job right now, man.
And the what? You're on.
All right, so we are going to play a new game while we're here with our buddies T-Vac and Kenny. This game is a new game. It's called How Much Are You Willing to Bet? So pretty simple. We go around, we each get a prop bet, and we have to respond with how much money we'd be willing to bet on a specific topic based off of our confidence with this happening. So obviously, the more money you're willing to bet, the more confident you are. Some answers could be you're willing to bet only $1, $100, you're going to empty your bank account, and anything in between. So we ready to get this started?
Let's do it.
All right, so first up, Andy. Mitch Marner currently has 1 season left on his contract. With the inability to have his success during the playoffs the previous 8 seasons, along with still being unsigned, how much money are you willing to bet that Mitch Marner will be a Toronto Maple Leaf at the start of the 2025 season?
I would not bet much on that. I hope he's not a Leaf next year. Not because we don't want good things to happen to Mitch Marner. We like Mitch Marner. I like Mitch Marner. But I don't want him on the Leafs anymore. I wish that they would have traded him this offseason and hopefully another year or another season he can produce with the Maple Leafs and then they can just part ways and both have success after.
How much are you willing to bet?
Couple dollars.
Yeah. Like we always say, what's funny with that?
Huh?
What's funny?
I don't know.
No,
I was laughing because you guys were.
We're always rooting for Mitch Marner, but yeah, well, I wouldn't be betting too much money on that either. T-Vac, you're up next. T-Vac, we know how hard the NHL playoffs are and how many good teams are in the NHL. So I want to ask, how much are you willing to bet that at least one of the Florida Panthers or the Edmonton Oilers will make it to the Stanley Cup Finals again this upcoming season?
Like $100 because the Oilers are going back for sure.
You think the Oilers are the real deal?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I agree.
They're gonna be pissed.
Yeah. Well, so you're pretty confident at least one of them will.
Yeah.
$100, huh?
Yeah, put 100 on it.
Well, they already have the start to the best one of their sports documentary because they had that clip in the locker room after they lost last year of them all just sitting there, and I just picture that just starting the new season's documentary, and then it just goes there and then flashes them winning the cup. So.
Well, when you think about last year, how Connor McDavid had everyone come early to the season and say it's cup or bust last year, I'd like to think that he's gonna do the same thing this year. They got a couple of new pieces, so Ty would bet $100 on that. So, Ken, last season Connor Bedard scored 22 goals, but he only played in 61 games. How much are you willing to bet that Connor Bedard will score over 35 goals this upcoming season?
Ooh, that's a good question. I'd throw like $50 on that.
$50 on that?
I mean, he's a good player, but like I feel like the players around him aren't that good.
Right.
So it's like, I mean, he's a goal scorer, but he needs help to score more.
He does.
How many goals?
He had 22 last season, but he only played in 61 games. How much are you willing to bet he scores over 35? So about a 14-goal jump.
Sophomore slump could be real.
Yeah. We gotta get Connor some help.
Maybe not 50. Maybe like $20 on that.
20
I have to
bucks.
see what the odds are.
Yeah.
See what I'm getting in return.
Let's say minus 150.
Minus 150?
Yeah.
I probably wouldn't throw any money on that.
No?
He's
What-
definitely going to get 35 goals, though.
You think?
Yeah.
Well, technically it would just be on par with last season, just a little bit better because he only played 61 games. So.
Yeah, I mean, I guess it depends if he misses games again.
Right. So you want to throw much money?
I'd throw like 20 bucks.
20
on it.
bucks?
Yeah.
All right.
I think that's fair.
All right, I'll ask myself one. So Alex Ovechkin currently has 853 goals. He needs 41 more goals to beat the record for most goals of all time. The last 2 seasons, Ovechkin has scored 31 and 42 goals. So let me ask myself, how much am I willing to bet that Alex Ovechkin will beat Wayne Gretzky's goal record sometime in the next 100 games? So that's this season and then the first 20 of the next. So I'd probably bet about $250 on this. I am very, very confident that Ovechkin will beat this record in the next 100 games. So we were talking, we're going to Washington later in the season this year. He needs 41 goals. He had 42 last year. What if we go and he ties the record or beats the record live?
We might have tickets that, I mean, we'd have to decide if he's like a couple goals away, we'd have to decide if we're going to just keep him or if we're going to sell him because they would go for crazy.
Yeah,
We're gonna
we
be
could
10
sell 'em.
each.
They would go nuts.
That'd be sick.
I bought the tickets for I think like $100. We all make like 10K.
Yeah.
Damn,
That'd be dope.
nuts.
That, I mean, it's March something that we're going.
It's late
so
March.
It'll be 60, 70 games played already. Probably close, probably 70 plus games will have played at that point. And if he scores 1 goal every other game, he'll be right on path to break it like around that time if he can do it.
If he's like 2 away, dude, we might have to sell him.
I know, seriously.
Just still go.
But it
and
would
just
be so
there.
sick to like
Be
be
in
there, though.
Washington.
We won't have to worry about that. He's not going to break it.
You don't think he'll ever break it?
He's too old.
I don't think he'll break it at all.
He's old and washed.
Dude, he had 25 goals in like 40 games last year.
You're such a hater.
He's old and washed. It's over for him.
Old and washed. It's over for
He's got to hang
Ovechkin.
him up.
Who can agree with
Okay.
Ken on that one?
Yeah.
Old and washed. Like and comment.
Got a couple more here. Andy, how much are you willing to bet that either one of Nathan McKinnon or Connor McDavid will win the Hart Trophy this season?
I'll bet any amount that I'm able to deposit, I guess.
Put the
That's-
mortgage on it.
Yeah, put the mortgage that I don't have on that. Those are 2 of the best players in the league every year. It's not like they're too old or anything. They're still in their prime. They're still producing. I think that if it's not them 2, then obviously there's a list of other guys, short list of other guys that'll be in contention. But those 2 are probably the favorites throughout the entire season, and 2 could be 2 of the favorites for the next decade.
Like we were talking about, like both those guys, they're both just so fun to watch, and like they're the ones that are helping grow this game in this era. Like they're equivalent to like the Ovechkin and Crosby of the last decade. So it's been really fun to watch both those guys. Like we make Insta posts and just talk about how lucky we are as hockey fans to be able to watch these guys live. Like I say that in almost every single post of them, because like we'll look back and be like, those guys were just so good right in our prime to watch them and everything. So all right, all of us will answer this one. How much are you willing to bet that the Toronto Maple Leafs will make it to the second round this season?
$0.
$0, dude.
Why is that?
The Leafs are a joke.
They're a joke of an
we need to
organization.
elaborate.
Yeah, elaborate. What do you think? You don't think that?
I think just
We've all seen it, man.
Yeah.
Same story every
I
time.
watch it every year.
8 years in a row they have one playoff win.
I've
We
seen
have seen it plenty of times.
I've seen this movie before.
Yeah. And you know what? I'm starting to feel bad for him.
I didn't.
Really?
Yeah.
Are you gonna start rooting
I'm
for
starting to
them?
feel bad for their organization and all their fans.
They need to just blow it up and rebuild.
Yeah.
Are you gonna start rooting
They
for
should
them? Does it feel bad
relocate
for
the
them?
team, to be honest.
Really?
They got to move out of Toronto.
Yeah, they got to get out of Toronto. They got
Yeah.
to change the jerseys.
Andy, how
Yeah.
much would you bet that they make it to the second round?
Well, logically, based off past performance, I shouldn't bet anything. But when I look at changes they've made, I mean, at the end of last season, I was kind of over it. I had a little hope left, but I was kind of over it. And now I'm fully back on board that they're going to do it. It's just, I mean, Berube is a huge thing. I think having a different voice in the room, not that Sheldon Keefe was a bad coach, but like anyone else, your voice just becomes stale, and what your systems and your routines and everything that you're bringing to the team just kind of runs its course after a period of time, especially when you're not having playoff success, where Berube hopefully can come in and just kind of jolt the locker room again and get everyone fired up in a different way, hopefully bring some more toughness and grit, because, I mean, it's no secret that the Leafs are built around skill, and they've obviously become more gritty over the last handful of years. A year ago, when they hired Brad Treliving as GM, he said he wanted more snot in the lineup, whatever that means. So I think they've played with some more of that, but
snot.
I think the main thing I want to see from them is I want their interviews to be different. Not confident that they will. I wouldn't bet anything that they will be different. But I want them to start saying that they need to win the Stanley Cup and that it's all about the cup. In the same way that McDavid made comments last year, and Draisaitl and McKinnon did it years ago. I'm so tired of them just being like, well, we're just going to try and win. We're going to have a good season and we're going to be together. Moment. Yeah, it's a learning experience. Like, that's just garbage. Like, you're the best players in the world. You're getting paid millions of dollars. You're in the biggest hockey market. You need to set the expectation to win the entire thing.
Cup or bust.
Yeah.
When have we ever heard that from anyone else?
So you think it was Keefe's fault that Toronto's quote-unquote superstars just disappeared in the playoffs?
I do not think it's Keefe's fault. However, I think that a jolt in the locker room from their head coach, Matthews being the captain, all these different things can be what they finally need.
What do you think of Toronto playing better with Austin Matthews out of the lineup in the playoffs?
Again, jolt.
I'm a huge Sheldon Keefe fan. I think he'll do great for New Jersey. I don't think he was the right fit for Toronto, but there were times when I didn't like his choices on who was on the ice. And it's easy to sit here on the bench. I mean, on the bench. It's easy to sit here on the couch watching miles away, but at the same time, I've been behind a bench, and I know there's certain times when you can be creative. But I would bet my next paycheck that they make it to the second round. Honestly, I'm very confident that the Leafs will get it done. Like you said, I think there's just that missing piece they've had. I hope that Joseph Woll can take the next step. I hope, like you said, Craig Berube can come in and help bring a new vibe to the team. Mm-hmm. I would bet my next paycheck that the Toronto Maple Leafs make it to the second round.
You can give me your paycheck if you want to, because they're not making it. Damn, are they the worst original 16? Yeah.
No.
Currently, or like you mean like all time?
Of all time. I think of all time. I think ever. I think they're worst original 6 or worst NHL team in general.
Well, think about it. Montreal's the most cups of all time. They haven't won one in a long time. Since what? Was it 93 the last Canadian team won it? And that was Montreal. So that was 93, so 30 plus years ago. Toronto hasn't won a cup since 67, can barely even make it past the first round. The Wings have won 3 cups in our lifetime. So in the last almost 30 years.
Yeah. I think if you had to rank them, it'd go Wings, definitely Wings, Rangers, Canadians.
Rangers won it in '94, and they've had cups and they've been successful. President trophies.
Blackhawks. Toronto. I think Toronto 6.
I think it's for sure the Leafs.
I think they're the worst team of all time.
Just some food for thought.
Yeah, well, the Blackhawks, I mean, honestly, since the 2000s, the Blackhawks might be number one. It's the Wings or them.
No, and Boston too.
Yeah.
Cups, I mean, since 2000, Chicago's had the most cups.
Yeah.
Hockey in Canada in general is just horrible. I actually don't want them to make any changes because I like watching this train wreck. So me too.
Well, let me ask you guys this on the fly. How much are you willing to bet that a Canadian team wins the Stanley Cup this year?
I would bet good money on that. Because I think Edmonton's the Oilers win. Yeah.
Oilers, Winnipeg, Vancouver.
Yeah, true.
Toronto. Really, the only teams that I don't think are in contention is
Calgary. Is Toronto the worst team in Canada and the worst original 6 team?
Calgary, Ottawa, and Montreal.
Are they the worst team across
Calgary,
the board?
Ottawa, and Montreal for sure.
Are they the worst hockey team to ever lace up the skates? They're doing some good things in Montreal, though.
Oh my goodness! Yeah, that's Tide likes them, man. He likes what they're doing in Montreal. That's gonna be a clip on TikTok.
I love what they're doing in Montreal. Did Keefe tie Austin Matthews skates for him before every game?
This is the content that I like.
Sheldon Keefe can't stand up straight.
All right.
Where did Craig Berube coach before?
The Blues. He helped them win a cup in 19.
Jeez, they're a train wreck too.
The Blues.
He didn't come from them last
They
year. He
haven't
was
been
there when
good.
they won the
They haven't
cup.
been good since Alexander Steen was there.
When they won the cup with Berube. So,
Yeah, but how much of winning a cup is on the coach?
Yeah.
You just stand behind the bench.
That's true.
There's no way.
Coaches do get too much blame and too much credit.
Yeah,
though.
wait.
It's like they don't even.
I could
they don't
coach a
even play.
team. I think I could coach a team
They do.
right
Two
now.
guys have never
coached.
sport though.
I don't think it's that hard. What you set the line, and then what?
from the
The
practice.
players know when the players know when to change.
I do agree
anyways.
that I think they get too much credit and too much blame in
every
hockey.
sport.
Yeah, in every sport.
I think
and in
you put me
hockey.
behind the Oilers bench right now, we win the cup.
Yeah,
So much of coaching is managing
I agree.
personalities in the locker room.
Yeah, that's true.
It's not just the X's and O's, because if you're coaching Connor McDavid, yeah, you're right. He knows where he's supposed to be.
I wouldn't even make him practice either.
He
We would
knows
just
the
play
skills,
the games.
but you
That'd
have
work.
to manage the personalities within it. Talking to the best player in the world and making sure that he's bought in with the team is not an easy task.
I
I'm
could
sure.
coach. I
Yeah,
could
that's
coach
true.
the Sharks. I think, and make the playoffs.
Really?
Yeah.
Who's going to be your second line center on that team? What about Celebrini?
What would you say to Celebrini, who was the first overall draft pick? How would you manage him
I would
coming
say,
into the
hey
league at
man,
18 years
you've
old?
been playing this your whole life. Go out there and do what you do best.
There you go.
I actually
don't
like that advice.
I don't even think I know one
I would just let
person
him
on
do
the
his thing.
Sharks.
I think coaches try to do too much. I think you just got to be like, hey man, like we're all adults here. Get out there, win face-offs, score goals, and defend.
There it is. It's that simple.
It's really not that hard. I think hockey's the easiest sport in the world.
All right, last one. Last one for about us all. And this is, I want us to just not just say $1 billion, but realistically, how much are you willing to bet that the Red Wings make the playoffs this season? Realistic.
Ties there.
Like 500.
$500.
Yeah.
I'd throw $1,000 on it.
I think the odds for them to make the playoffs right now are like minus 120.
Yeah,
So
they're
like
gonna
they're
make it.
just so you'd put $500 on it. You think?
Yeah.
What about
I
you,
might do
Ken?
it right now.
Yeah, couple hundred, maybe
hundred.
$1,000.
Pretty confident in them,
Yeah.
Andy.
I'm confident in them, but not the way that they are, and probably what I would assume you are. But a lot of that has to do with just the division they're in, though.
Yeah.
I mean, it's been the same story for years, and I think it'll be the same story this year. Like you're fighting with Boston and Florida and Toronto and Tampa and all these teams that are.
You think they're fighting Toronto?
Did you put Toronto in there?
Yeah, way to sneak Toronto in there, man.
Toronto's made the playoffs for 8
Toronto.
years.
Did I hear the Leafs
Toronto's
in there?
issue is not making the playoffs; it's advancing in the playoffs.
Yeah, that's true.
It's so true.
Yeah. Always
They're the
best
Dallas. They're the Dallas Cowboys of the NHL.
100%. They're the Buffalo Bills of the NHL.
Yeah, and it's
So-
sad. I'm starting to feel bad for you guys.
I like it.
I don't need any sympathy.
Feel bad for you, Andy.
Oh, how much I would put on the Wings to make the playoffs? Yeah, I'm probably in the middle of these guys. I would say that I would probably put like probably $100 on it. I'm confident, but like Andy said, it's not a shot at the Wings. It's just a compliment to the other teams in the division. There's always a question mark right now. The last few years of who's going to take that next stop between Detroit, Buffalo, Ottawa, and I think Detroit's going to do it. So I'd put some money on it, but yeah, it's going to be very fun to watch this year. We appreciate Ty and Kenny recording so much with us. We want to finish the show just talking with the fellas about a couple of topics about them. For those who don't know, both of these guys actually never really played hockey themselves growing up. But they've actually become like bigger hockey fans growing up. So we just want to ask some questions, get their perspective, because I think they kind of have a unique take on some things. So T-Vac, I want to start with you first. So like focusing more on when we were like younger before high school. Ty's older brother, Rye, shout out Rye, he played growing up. And then Ty obviously came to a lot of me and Andy's games
That's
growing
so
up.
old.
So T-Vac, I want to ask you, did you like hockey from a young age, or were you kind of like forced into watching it because of your family and everything? And like what were your thoughts of hockey growing up?
Yeah, I always liked hockey because you and Andy and Ryan, everybody always played, so I'd always be at your guys' games. And then especially like when when Andy started on Caesars, and then you were on the black and red Trenton.
Yeah.
that's when I really started to like it, and we would go to all your guys' games, and then obviously, like, we're from Hockey Town, so.
Did you ever have interest in the Red Wings when you were younger?
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah, that was like, the Red Wings was like the main Detroit team that I like, because I don't really like the Lions, and.
Yeah.
But yeah, it was, we were always biggest Red Wings fans out of the 4 teams.
Do you have any memory of you ever wanting to play hockey, or did the topic ever come up with your family?
No, I went to open skate one time, but I didn't like that. I had to use the walker thing, and I never went back.
So you never wanted to play after that or anything?
No.
Ken, I'm curious, before you really got to know us in high school, did you know much about hockey, or did you have any interest in it? Have you ever been to a hockey game before you met us?
Yeah, I mean, I grew up liking hockey as well. I mean, I remember, especially when the Wings were good when I was younger, and they were in like the Western Conference. I have like memories of staying up late with my dad and watching them in the playoffs, and like it would be like 11 o'clock at night, and they'd still be playing, and I'd be like begging my dad to stay up before like school nights and stuff when they were in the playoffs and stuff. So I mean, I always liked hockey. I mean, especially because the Wings were good when we were kids, which was
so good.
They were really good.
So just like we grew up without even realizing how good they were. We just knew that they were just like one of the best teams every single year. And now we're older and times went on, and we're like, we just expected. You just didn't even appreciate it because you're kids and you don't really know the whole storyline anyways. But now that you're older, you look back, it's like they won 4 cups, and it was just, I mean, within what? There was like 10 years, right? 11 years.
97,
11
08,
years.
yeah.
97, 98, 02, 08.
Did the topic ever come up for you? You don't want to play, Ken, with your family?
Yeah, I was pretty much the same as Tyler. I have like the same exact story. I went to like my parents put me into. It was the only thing my parents ever let me quit was skate, because I went. My mom signed me up for like skating. Yeah. And I hated it, and then I quit.
I feel like hockey is one of those sports where you kind of have to know, like, have someone in your family or someone get you into it, because it is hockey's so like unique more than the other sports growing up, where you kind of just like you got to know someone. Like it's I talk about it all the time. It's like how like hunting or fishing or something, you kind of have to know someone when you're younger to get into that. I feel like hockey's kind of that same way. Neither of you guys really had. I mean, Uncle Dave obviously more, but like if you don't have someone that like leads you into doing it, like I feel like it's hard to get into it. So
even the equipment is difficult with hockey because you don't even know. There's so many different pieces of it. I remember with like regarding skates, when we started STI, it was like probably our 3rd year. It was like 2017 maybe. And there was a kid who was a mite at the time. He's like 8 years old, and throughout the summer he was like early in the summer, I'd never really seen him play. I just started playing hockey like the year before that, and he didn't really skate that well, and it looked like his skates were just always like sliding on the ice, not like cutting in like with his edge. And I asked his dad like right after, I was like, hey, he's getting better, but when's the last time you got a skate sharpened? And he's like, what do you mean?
Yeah.
And I'm like, well, like it's different for every kid and every player as you grow, but every other week, every couple weeks or so, some guys like it every week to get your skate sharpened. Like, I didn't even know I needed to do that.
Yeah.
And I'm like, go take his skates right now to the pro shop. Just take him in there, drop him off, get him sharpened, and bring him back next week, and he'll probably be a whole different thing.
Right.
And sure enough, he's like, I didn't even know I had to do that. Came back the next week, and it's not like he was a great skater at that point, but it made a huge difference because his skates were actually working with him instead of just against them.
Yeah.
Right. And then if you he just wasn't exposed. His dad didn't know anything, so if you don't know anything about hockey, you don't know anyone, like you're saying. It's difficult.
Well, that's actually pretty funny. I mean, I wonder if Ty and Ken's skates weren't sharpened, and that's one of the reasons they didn't like it when I started.
Yeah, I think my skates were dull
as hell.
They were dull. Whoa, dude.
The same exact.
So fast forward a couple years, we're like in high school. We obviously started hanging out more, and like you guys being as good of guys and friends as you are, you guys took on our passions and started to follow hockey more. And so I'm curious, like around that time, did hockey? Obviously, you liked it growing up, but like, did you learn to like it more and kind of got dragged into it because, I mean, twice a week during the school year, you guys were going to our games, or did you guys actually enjoy it, and like, or was it kind of like if you weren't becoming close friends with us, do you think you'd be as big a hockey fans now?
I definitely wouldn't have been a high school hockey fan, but
Yeah.
I was always a Red Wings fan. So I'd be a Red Wings fan for sure, but I wouldn't have ever gone to a high school hockey game.
Yeah.
And I don't even know if I would have went to a lot of Trenton games. But
I agree with
went
that.
to
Yeah.
watch
You guys kind of forced me.
Would you have known what far pad is?
No,
Right.
you taught me far pad.
But I did. I love going to like Trenton games and stuff just because of you guys.
I wouldn't be the man I am
not really
today
because of
without you
Trenton
two.
hockey. Yeah,
So,
they've taught
hold
you
on.
so much.
What were you saying, Ty?
I said I love going to Trenton hockey games, but it was more so just for you guys.
Yeah.
You guys were always behind the net.
Yeah, I didn't miss a game in like 3 years.
No, seriously. So, just a couple more questions. So, hockey is obviously, and I know these are tough, but so hockey is obviously not nearly as popular as football, basketball, and baseball. And like, frankly, I don't think it ever will come close in popularity, unfortunately. But I want to ask you guys who have never played, what do you think the NHL has to do to get non-hockey players like yourselves interested in the game more?
Take helmets away. I'm just
It's a
kidding.
creative response.
Is there anything
No
that you
goalie
think,
helmets.
anything you think that they could do to keep non-hockey players interested?
I don't know, man. I've always
Yeah, I
said
don't know
hockey's
either.
like the one. Hockey's the one sport where they don't really need to change any rules or anything. Like
Right.
football, they always change stuff, like the new kickoff rule this year. Like baseball, like they put the clock in and they did all that stuff. Like hockey's like
Yeah, it's like fast.
there's really like you don't need to change anything. I honestly don't know how to like get more people
Well, that's
to
what
watch
blows
it.
my mind is that when I talk to people who didn't grow up with hockey or something, and they're always like, "Oh, I love watching hockey." Like you said, it's so fast, it's like so entertaining. But I'm like, if that's like relatively a lot of people's answers, why is it there's still such that big gap between? Because it's like football is by far number one, and then it's like baseball and basketball are toss up, and then there's a big gap, and then there's hockey. So it's like, how do I was curious if there's any way that you think any of you three think we could get less of the gap.
Hockey continues to grow. Statistically, the amount of players, boys and girls, all over the country is continuing to grow. The biggest thing is a lot of times is financial, because it costs money to buy all that stuff to play, and a lot of people don't want to buy all the stuff for their kid just for them to try it and say, actually, I don't want to play. Where if you're going to play baseball, football, or basketball, you need a ball,
Right.
and if you're playing baseball, you need a ball and a bat and a glove. Like you need such minor things, where in hockey you all need the equipment. If you're going to go play basketball outside or football outside, there needs to be one ball that everyone can share. You don't even all need your own stuff.
Right.
Just to at least try it. Obviously, if you're playing, football, you're going to get your pads and helmet and stuff, but a lot of that's normally supplied. That's why there's all these USA hockey programs that have like rent gear or sell your old gear, that type of thing, so that people can get into the game. But I think the biggest thing has been the financial aspect of all of it.
Yeah, I think like all the other big three are like so easily accessible. Like
Right.
there's first of all, you got to be on ice. I
Yep.
mean, you can play street
Right.
hockey, but it's not like there's setups of street hockey with nets like there is for basketball.
Yeah,
just
right.
Like you could just go to a basketball court in the park or play football in the
Or just
field.
a field of grass.
Well, I was thinking about why what boundary or challenge because I was thinking the answers when I was writing these questions, and it was like, what boundary or challenge do you think the NHL faces to get people more interested, and why is the NFL so different? And one thing that I thought of is, I wonder if there are too many games, because what's the one reason people say that the baseball is boring during the start of the year? Because there's too many games, whereas football, almost every single game really matters. So I wonder if they cut the NHL season down a little bit, but again, they'll never do that because of business and everything. I wonder if that's a way to get people more interested.
Yeah, it definitely could be. I think the overlap, or there's kind of two different things we're talking about right now as far as getting kids to play hockey as like youth versus being fans of the NHL. I think kind of the objectives and the way they go about that might be different, but reducing the amount of games for the actual NHL season for more fans to make each game more like important could definitely be a thing. But like you said, it's not going to happen because that'd be decreased revenue for every owner and all the executives in the league.
Yeah. All right, guys. Well, I appreciate you guys doing the podcast today. and yesterday we recorded a lot. I appreciate it. You guys are the best as far as guys who are non-hockey players. There's no one else that I would want to interview besides you guys, but you guys do know a lot about the game, and you guys have earned the right to argue with people in public about hockey knowledge, because even hockey players, because you guys know enough and you guys follow along. But we appreciate you guys, I guess, loving hockey the way that we do, because that's part of our lives. So you guys are the best. We'll make sure that we enjoy our time today, but we'll probably get you guys obviously on the pod again more, but we appreciate you.
Thanks, man. Thanks for having us.
We can do public disputes now about hockey.
Yeah.
Yeah, thanks for having us on.